Welcome to Your Unapologetic Life, the show where we do not play it safe. I'm your host, Morgan Barkus. I've got a master's in marriage and family therapy. I've read the books, studied the theories, and I also spent 13 years as a stripper. So, yeah, I've had real life education too. I help high achieving women feel gorgeous naked, confident in bed, and proud of every inch of themselves. Whether it's solo or with a partner, I coach women to stop faking, stop freezing, and start fully feeling. If you want to feel sexy, powerful, and fully free in your body, I'm your fairy Samantha Jones godmother. Let's talk about what she would never apologize for and what you're about to claim for yourself. Look, you read the title of this podcast. Why so many women don't enjoy sex. I was hanging with some gal pals, and if you hang with me, you know we're going to be talking about relationships and we're going to be talking about sex. I am a nosy person. I say curious by nature, born in the year of the monkey. I went and got my master's degree in marriage and family therapy because I like to understand humans, why we interact the way we do and behave, and it's just fascinating to me. And I want to hear stories. I want to hear people's stories. So I ask a lot of questions. And we were talking about sex, and one of the gals I was with said, I don't enjoy sex. I just do it because it's something I know I'm supposed to do. It was a record scratch moment, and yet not at all. Like, this is not rare. This is not strange. This is not shocking. It's something that is normal for a lot of women. And it takes me back to another memory many years ago, well over a decade ago. I used to teach regularly at this exotic dance and fitness studio for the everyday woman. I did regular classes, exotic dance, lap dance, pole dance, and did workshops. And then I also oftentimes did the bachelorette parties or girls' nights out, whatever. These were on Fridays and Saturday evenings. And I loved it. I mean, I didn't have much of a social life and I didn't care. It was so fun to be with the women, be able to empower them through movement and dance. And some of the packages we offered at the studio, they could have a bit of food and champagne included. And in this case, they usually would sit around the lounge and chat. And I wasn't necessarily in the conversations. And I was in the studio, so I was hearing some of the conversations. And I remember one woman said, well, I just pretend that I'm asleep when my husband comes into the bedroom so I don't have to have sex. And I thought, wow, so you don't enjoy sex or it's not enjoyable when you have some kids. I knew that much about her. So she has had sex and she's just not into it. All right. And I find sex to be one of the most delicious parts about being a human. I don't care if it's stubbing your toe, getting in a car accident, losing your job, getting a bad haircut, or your tummy hurts. Like, life can be not super fun all the time. You're sitting in traffic for an hour and 21 minutes when really it should take you 37 minutes to get home. Like, it it can be inconvenient and unpleasurable in many ways. Now, are there delicious parts about being human? You best believe it. I will go out of my way to walk to the coffee shop that has good, unique, flavorful coffee, even if it takes me extra effort than going to a massive franchise to go get coffee that doesn't taste that great. So I am always looking for the delicious parts of being a human and finding pleasure in the ways that I can, whether it's traveling to a new place, going to a restaurant, going to a lounge that has a beautiful, delightful atmosphere. So I am looking for those things in life. And I would argue that sex is the only thing in this life that is the most delicious. It's the only part of being a human that to truly enjoy it, you are 100% in your body. You are out of your head. You are not multitasking, solo sex or partner sex. You are present. Like, it is truly a thing that gets your mind right, your body right, even your hormones right. It just is the most delightful part of being a human. And there are women that do not enjoy it. For a lot of women, sex becomes a requirement to keep a relationship rather than sex being a place of pleasure. Does that make sense? So let's go into what exactly performative sex is. Now, this is sex done out of obligation, sex as a role rather than a desire, sex as maintenance. Or you think, well, it's just the price that I have to pay to be in partnership. And when sex feels like a chore, something is deeply off. Nothing is wrong with you. It is not the woman. It is not you. If you're listening to this and going, boy, I don't really like sex that much. I try to do it as little as often, and it feels like an obligation or I have to. There is nothing wrong with you. It is the dynamic or some sort of programming that happens. We're going to dive into that. If sex for you feels like scrubbing your bathroom, we got a problem. The problem is not you, and we have a problem. Now, this is what I work with in terms of my clients is diving into what that means. And what did I mean by scrubbing my bathroom? That means I maintain my household. Part of maintaining my household is having a very clean bathroom. I love that baby to smell like bleach. So, do I get the rubber gloves on and the cleaning supplies out about once a week? Yeah, I don't love it. And I do it because that's part of maintaining a household, right? And I don't want sex to feel like that for you. Let's go into if you are one of the women that feels like you don't enjoy sex. Okay, cool. Are you in a relationship? So if I'm going to take a look at this with you, it's are you in the right relationship? Are you with the right person? There's partnerships where the chemistry is off the chain. You know, you see it in shows, but let's be real, that's not realistic. I've only had one experience in my entire life, and I've had a lot of partners where we barely got in the front door and we were making out and had to make our way up the stairs. Like, cool. And I also was in a partnership with someone that we had crazy chemistry. It was a 10. Like, we really had that desire for each other. And we weren't aligned in the other ways that make a successful relationship. So that relationship didn't work out. Then on the opposite end of that, I was with someone many years ago where he was good looking. Women would say to me all the time, Morgan, where do I get one of those? Girl, you can have this one. Because I wasn't terribly attached to this person. The sex was like, something that I do because, it's part of you're hanging out watching a movie and you end up making out and having sex. Like it just was like part of hanging out together. And I didn't desire him and I didn't feel terribly desired by him. Now, that's the other thing. For women, one of the parts of if you're in a partnership, enjoying sex is feeling desired. There are millions of women in this world. Okay. Now, if a guy is choosing me, I don't care if it's for the night or we're in a partnership for years. Why me? I want to feel unique, special, desired. I want to hear it. I want you to tell me. I want you to act like it. So I think for women, we want to feel safe, yes, physically and emotionally, and we want to feel desired. Again, back to this partnership where I was in a companionship situation. It was really nice to go do something with someone that had similar interests and we had a good time together. Actually, I could think about I've had a couple relationships like that where I'm with someone and it's really fun to go do stuff with this person. And when it came to the sex part, it was like, oh man, a chore maybe is a stretch, and it just wasn't aligned. I didn't feel desired, and I didn't necessarily feel desire for that person. So again, if a woman says to me, "I don't really enjoy sex that much," or "I don't really enjoy sex," period, I'm like, "All right, let's back this truck up. Are you in a relationship? Are you with the right person?" Because that is the first thing I would look at. Now, if you're not with someone and you're having random love affairs and you're not enjoying the sex, that's something else to look at. Because you look at someone like the characters of Samantha Jones or Sylvie from Emily in Paris, these are women that are very sexually liberated. They enjoy sex, multiple partners. They know what pleasure is and they desire and feel desired in those situations that they get themselves in, these love affairs that they have. Now, it's obviously false. I mean, that those aren't real characters. And the idea is they are not always in a long-term committed relationship, and they are very much enjoying sex with the people they are enjoying sex with. So it really doesn't matter if you're with one person for many, many years or you're with a bunch of people. It would be nice to enjoy sex, right? It again is the most delicious part about being a human. So let's enjoy it. So are you with the right person? If you are having random love affairs and still not loving sex, what's going on there? That would be something I would work on with you. Why are you engaging in these activities? What are you getting out of it, right? And then going even further back, it's I'm focused on solo sex because yes, hopefully if you enjoy sex and then you find a partner that matches you and you desire them, they desire you, awesome. And it starts with you. It doesn't start with your partner. It starts with your relationship with your own body, your own desire, your own pleasure. If you don't enjoy being in your body, you'll tolerate partners who don't care if you enjoy being in your body either. So there was another interaction more recently. I was at a birthday party, and one of the women had been married for over a decade and a half, and she said she often pretended she was asleep when her husband got in the bed because she felt like she was in service to her husband. She felt obligated to service him, and she's like, "It's not really that fun for me, and I don't want to. Like, why it's always about him, and I'm not really into it, so I don't wanna do any of it." And I was like, "Okay, I get that." She was with someone who didn't necessarily care about her pleasure, and again, it goes back to you. I feel like multiple things are happening. Like, one, like attracts like, right? So if you want a generous partner, you become generous. If you want a kind partner, you become kind. If you want someone that puts your pleasure first and wants to please you, that comes from you first. So going back again to the solo sex, figuring out what you desire, what you want. There's an amazing book, Gillian Anderson. She's an actress out of Europe, and she just had this interest in compiling a book of stories. And the book is called Want, and it's hundreds and hundreds of pages. She's had thousands and thousands of women write in from all over the world and different sexual orientations about what they like, their deepest desire. And what's interesting is I'm partly way through the book, and a lot of the desires are not what you think, in that I guess I was expecting some freaky desires, these unrealistic, out of this world, literally, like, I wanna meet an alien, or something, crazy, like crazy stuff. I was like, "Ooh, this is gonna be interesting to see what people desire and what their craziest fantasies are." And I'm noticing that a lot of it is realistic in that it's desire. They want to meet someone who desires them and makes them feel special, and they kiss deeply, and I mean a lot of the stories. I mean, there were some ones that were there were some stories that were a little more erotic, exotic, or interesting in that respect, and I found them all interesting in that these are not unrealistic desires of what they truly want. So again, going back to you, rebuilding that connection to yourself and having curiosity rather than feeling like you have to perform. And I truly think that starts with you, um, that you have the agency to know what you want, how you want it, what you even like, and being able to then communicate that. I Years ago, again at that dance studio I worked at, I worked with this lovely young lady who worked the front desk, and we were one afternoon working together, and I was working on something else, and she was doing whatever with the memberships and yada yada. And again, me, nosy, always curious, started asking about a relationship. How's that going? They'd been together for a long time. And I started asking about sex, and she's like, "Well, we just do the one position. I get on top and get him off, and then that's that." And I was like, "Oh, okay. And are you orgasming?" And she's like, I think so." I said, "Okay." I described it to her, and she's like, "Oh, no. No, nope, I haven't experienced that." And I was like, "All right, okay. Do you masturbate?" She's like, no. I was like, all right, so we're going to start there. And now, granted, she didn't ask for this. She didn't have to do anything. I was just encouraging, okay? I want every woman to feel crazy, comfortable, and liberated in her naked body and in her sexuality. So I was like, you know what? Take it or leave it. Here's my encouragement to you. And I basically said, you don't live alone, and there are times when your partner's not there. What if you put on some music, you get your earbuds in, you drink a little wine, you lock the bedroom door just in case he comes home unexpectedly. You get comfy, you get on the bed, you start exploring. And I can't remember how long after that. I kind of wondered, like I didn't want to get too much into her business, even though I clearly don't have a problem getting into people's business. And there was a point where it came up again, and she's like, Morgan, I did what you recommended. Oh my goodness. I have never felt so powerful. I didn't even know my body could do that. I feel so empowered and like free. And I was like, yes, girl, yes. Like that is what I want for you. Yes. And all women. And it had to come with her. Now, fast forward, she's no longer with that person. She found another man, and hopefully, and they've been together for a long time, according to social media. Who knows? And they seem delightfully happily. They're happily ever after. They seem delightfully happy. And I'm assuming that because she got to know her desire and her pleasure more, she brought that to her partnership, and he is a partner that can match her in that. Because again, if you don't know what you don't know what you want, you don't know what is even pleasurable to you, how are you going to communicate that to a partner? So, of course, your partner is not going to pay attention to that. And even if your partner said, I really want you to be, happy, I want to please you, if you don't even know what that is or you don't know how to communicate it, we're starting there, right? So, um, again, it's that like attracts like concept. I mean, that for me, that hit me a couple years ago where I thought, okay, wait a second, I've had quite a few unsuccessful relationships here. Um, and the common denominator is me. So, what am I? How can I switch up and become the woman who is what I am looking for in a partner? I mean, that was a huge wake up call for me. And then it was reading Calling in the One in this last few months. And just really, I'm always trying to figure out how to make myself better and become the woman who. And this is true in your sexuality as well. You become the woman who, if you want a generous lover, be generous with yourself. If you want someone who's very present with you when you're being intimate, you be present with you when you are being intimate with yourself. If you want pleasure and someone who cares about your pleasure, care about your own pleasure and figure that out and put yourself first. When a woman is confident and connected to herself, she stops attracting takers. And that goes back to the woman who mentioned that she pretends she's sleeping when her husband comes home because she always feels like she has to be in service to her husband. He expects her to service him, and it's not like he comes home and desires her and makes her feel special and knows what she likes. And I don't know enough about the relationship to know, I didn't dig, me, I'm nosy, but I wasn't able to dig in that much, especially in a group setting like that. That's a one-on-one coaching kind of thing. So figuring out, okay, great. Is it because you don't even know what you want and you don't know how to communicate that? So the guy's just kind of defaulting to what he usually does and he knows he likes. Okay. And that's not a very satisfying, mutually beneficial sexual experience. Again, I always go back to the woman. So it can go back as far as, where did you learn about sex? What were some of your first sexual experiences? Were you guilted or shamed or embarrassed? Let's go there. And then, do you even know what you like? Let's go there. Let's figure that out. Now, I can't do it for you. And I can guide you and encourage you, like I did the young lady way back in the day, from the dance studio. Like, this is on you. There is nothing wrong with you. It's the stories that you grew up with, the programming that you got, and or experiences that happened to you that maybe took your sovereignty away. Um, or made you uncomfortable with sex in general because it was a horrible experience early on. I don't know. We'd have to look at all that stuff. And truly, if you are a woman who is not enjoying sex, it comes back to you taking your power back, getting back into your body. And when you work with me, when we're working together, I coach you through that we talk about the hard stuff and we unpack the shame, the conditioning, any kind of fear, embarrassment, just unknowing. And I think about it like when I was in college and I had my first couple sexual experiences, I was garbage. It's embarrassing thinking about that. I was so unaware. I mean, I wasn't completely unaware of my own body and I knew how to please myself. I didn't know how to communicate that to a partner. That took practice, just like anything else. I mean, you don't just you're 3 years old and jump on a bike and learn how to ride a bike. Like it takes a lot of practice and knowledge or anything like you think about. I mean, education. You don't just know stuff. You read books and you go have experiences and you do group activities or projects or like it takes a long time. And I don't say that to be discouraging. I'm not saying, oh my God, I already don't like sex and now I got to put in a bunch of work to see if I even like it. I mean, again, it's the most delicious part about being a human. It's worth the effort and you get to decide how you do that. If you don't feel like reading books, cool. Um, we'll find a different way. Maybe you take a class. Like there are so many resources now to help understand pleasure. And truly, I believe it starts with you. So if you're in a partnership, assess if it's even the right partnership for you. If you're not in a partnership, let's go back. And even if you are in a partnership, the first thing is, are you with the right partner? That's hands down number one. Whether you're in a partnership or not, it still goes back to you. Not because anything's wrong with you, not because you're the problem. It is all about your programming, what you learned, what you heard, what you saw, what you experienced in your past that has disconnected you from your own body, that has not encouraged you to figure out what you want and what is pleasurable to you. And again, that is the work that I do. I have a coaching program, The Unapologetic Woman, and we go through so that you feel fantastic naked. You feel confident in your pleasure and you are free in your body. You are connected to your body so that you can stop performing and start living with pleasure, confidence, and choice. If you loved this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a woman you adore. We rise faster when we're surrounded by women who get it. And hey, if you want more of this energy in your life, come hang out with me. Join my email list at morganbarkus.com. I send out juicy tips, confidence boosters, and unapologetic how-to guides every single Monday. Find me on Instagram or Facebook at Morgan Barkus. I'm easy to find. You don't have to do this journey alone. The more you connect with me and the bold, badass women in my world, the more confident you'll become. We don't shrink, we sparkle. See you next time on Your Unapologetic Life.